Am I the a-hole for refusing to allow my daughter around my brother-in-law for something he did years ago and leaving my husband because of it? Back when my brother-in-law was 28, he had a relationship with a 15-year-old girl. He ended up in prison for 12 years on kidnapping and rape charges. He just got out 2 years ago and moved back to our home state 3 months back. That's a lot. Anyways, now my husband and I have a 13, almost 14-year-old daughter, his stepdaughter technically, and I absolutely refuse to allow my brother-in-law around her. Everyone in the family is extremely pissed at me because he did his time and paid his dues, and have tried convincing me several times that what my brother-in-law did was one-time thing, and that since my brother-in-law is mentally delayed due to childhood trauma, that he really didn't understand what he did was wrong because mentally he was on the same page as the 15-year-old girl. Yeah, the mental gymnastics is killing me. I refuse to buy into the excuses and have stood firm behind not allowing this man near my kid. I don't care if he is reformed and found Jesus. I don't care if he openly admits it was a mistake and is apologetic. He still raped a kid who is close in age to my daughter. Well, yesterday, the family called us and said they needed to have a family discussion and asked to come over, which I allowed. My mother-in-law, father-in-law, and sister-in-law were all here and said that our niece's 12th birthday is coming up next week and that they want us to attend, but said that brother-in-law would be there. They asked that I put up with it for a few hours for my niece's sake and said, "We will all make sure that John isn't around your daughter. We will pay close attention," and basically begged me to just put it behind for just a few hours. I said absolutely not. They all have this belief that he is reformed anyhow, so I don't trust them to keep an eye on my kid because they all think he's cured and wouldn't do that to family. They left pissed off anyways. Well, I walked by the bathroom last night and heard my husband crying. I knocked on the door and found him sitting on the edge of the tub. He unleashed a world of hurt on me, saying he is effing sick of being caught in the middle of all this bull and feels like I'm making him choose between his entire family and me because his brother will be at all events from this point forward, so he knows that he won't be able to go because of it. He said that he's pissed at all of us and starting to hate us all because we won't shut the F up and stop giving him ultimatums. I haven't given him any. I simply walked out and went to my mother's with my kid. I know he's hurt right now, but I will never tolerate the lack of concern for my own child after what that man did. Am I wrong here? Absolutely, positively not. You can always find a new husband. You can always get new in-laws. But once your daughter gets hurt because you want to save someone else's feelings, whether it be your brother-in-law or your husband or your family-in-law, that hurt that your daughter's going to go through, that will never, that will never go away and it will never reverse back. If he sounds like a normal, sane person, I believe that children's safety becomes first before anybody's feelings, before anybody's wants, and before anybody's needs. She's right. Like, why in God's name will I allow my child to, I don't care, mentally delayed or not. Okay, that's even worse. If he was mentally delayed when he did this, jail doesn't do much from the side of it. He's still going to be mentally delayed. I'm pretty sure jail doesn't give you intelligence. I mean, so that's even worse than a normal person who did that. Because then now a normal person say, hey, I probably shouldn't do that because I already went to jail. If he's mentally delayed, then OP is definitely not in the wrong. Am I the a-hole for telling my ex-fiance's parents exactly why we broke up and called off the wedding? Well, I met my ex-fiance, Amy, when we were both 27. Right off the bat, we hit it off. Pretty early in our relationship, Amy let me know that she had a pretty wild past. She wanted to be honest and upfront with me. I told her I didn't care, but I did have concerns about whether she was actually wanting to settle down, which I kept to myself. She had told me how her past had caused a lot of strain with her parents, but didn't really go into detail. I pushed all that aside and dove in. We had an amazing relationship. Over the years, I grew pretty close to her parents. I spent a lot of time at their house helping her dad with projects. We'd often all three go out to lunch after. They are wonderful people. After dating for about 3 years, I proposed. Amy was ecstatic, but her parents were even more excited. We had what seemed like a fairy tale engagement. Allie was a coworker of Amy's, and they became really close. Allie is one of the kindest and most sincere people that I have ever met. One weekend, Amy's friend, Sarah, invited her on a weekend trip to Vegas. Now, Sarah was not someone I liked. She was a friend from that time in Amy's life who who was a very bad influence. She would pressure her to drink, do drugs, hook up, etc. I heard her call me boring multiple times on the phone with Amy and even told her that she should break up with me a couple of times. Kidding, of course. I wasn't thrilled about the idea, but Sarah invited Amy's friend Allie, which made me feel a lot better. Allie was a coworker of Amy's, and we all became really good friends over the years. Allie is one of the kindest and most sincere people that I have ever met. They went to a club one. Why does he keep repeating that? They went to a club one night, and some guys were all over them. They invited the girls to their suite penthouse upstairs where they were throwing an after party. Amy and Allie declined, but Sarah guilt-tripped them into going. During the party, Allie was alone and went to go back to their room and sleep. She went looking for Sarah and Amy to see if they wanted to leave or let them know she was leaving. She found them in a room. Sarah was hooking up with one guy and Amy was having a threesome with two guys, Amy being OP's girlfriend. The next morning, Amy begged Allie, the coworker, not to say anything to me, and Sarah said it was her fault. When they got back, Allie told me everything right away, Allie being the coworker. To her credit, Amy did not deny any of it. She said I was freaked out about getting married and effed up. I was crushed, but obviously called off the wedding and broke up on the spot. I had not told many people about what happened except my immediate family. This all happened 6 months ago. I saw Amy's parents at a hardware store a week ago. They expressed how sad they were that we broke up. Her mom, who I was close with, asked me what happened. She didn't think I was the cold feet type and could just cut Amy off my life. I was confused, but then kind of awkwardly clarified that when she was partying with Sarah, who they all know about, she decided to cheat on me with two guys at the same time. They were sad but not surprised. They had hoped she was turning a new leaf. About 2 days later, I got a slew of texts from Amy. She was pissed that I told them and saw it as a way for me to get back at her by turning her parents on her. She said she gave me everything I wanted in the breakup and apologized a million times. It was true she moved out immediately, worked out canceling wedding plans, etc. It was a clean break, no drama. That said, her parents were super pissed about throwing away our relationship. They told her sister, who Amy always competed and hated for shaming her constantly. Her parents are pretty well off and gave her sister and my brother-in-law a huge amount of money to get their life started. They promised the same for Amy, but told her that they are going to just donate it since they don't want to finance her lifestyle. I kind of knew it might happen but didn't really care. I would have been fine keeping it to myself until I found out she told them that I basically got cold feet and abandoned her. Amy said she always thought I was kind, but it turns out I was a vindictive a-hole. I never really understood the idea of cheating on someone. It's really not that deep. If you don't want to be, in a committed relationship and you want to toss that little thingy around, for both men and women, why don't people just stay single? I don't understand why people do that. It's so weird. Imagine someone wasting your time simply because they want to be with you, but yet they can't let go of other, their other weird desires outside the relationship. It's not that deep. It's very weird. But I'm glad OP broke it off, and I'm glad it happened now. Sometimes you just have to think I am so glad this happened to me now rather than later. Imagine if they got married, they had kids, she did this. So yeah.